Hello, hello. Welcome to the Angry Black Women Show. I am LaDedra. Joining us this evening is Stephanie, Nicole, Staci, and Marnese. Tonight we're going to start off with some hot topics. The first thing we're going to talk about are the T.I. and Tiny allegations. Um, First of all, this is something that new that just recently happened. The VH1 Viacom has shut down production of the T.I. and Tiny show due to the sexual allegations. Allegedly, one of their longtime friends, I believe her name is Sabrina Peterson, accused them of sexual trafficking and sexual assault. She also stated that T.I. pulled a gun on her at one point in time. There's about 15 women that have come forward so far, and there's a few of them that have hired Lisa Bloom as their attorney. If anybody doesn't know who Lisa Bloom is, she's the lady, the go-to lady. She's the daughter of Gloria Allred, who is also a famous attorney that's known for civil lawsuits against famous people. T.I. and Tiny are denying these allegations and they want their day in court. They said that there's possibly a class action lawsuit that could be coming at them. So it's just a bunch of mess. You know, they've been entangled in a lot of controversy. You know, T.I.'s been in and out of prison a couple of times. There was a time that Tiny took a charge for him, and because it was her first offense, she didn't serve any time. You know, she's considered like the real ride or die wife. It's interesting how they got together because at the time she was writing songs and she was making a lot of money. She was famous for Escape. She had some great money from publishing and songwriting. She had a really nice house. She met him at a party, and I think he had just stopped selling drugs and he was breaking into the rap game. She really didn't care for him when she first met him, but she hung out a couple of times with him and she really started to like him. So a lot of people don't realize is that, her connections got him in the position that he was in. And then once he kind of surpassed her in earning, he became a traditionalist in the sense that he didn't want her to work. He didn't want her to write songs. I remember on a show that she had with Toya, who is the ex-wife of Lil Wayne. They were on a show together, and I believe it was on BET, if I'm not mistaken. And Tiny wanted to open a nail shop, and T.I. didn't want her to. And she basically had to go behind his back to do it. She had to go behind his back to do a lot of things. He really did not want her working outside the home. So it was kind of crazy to see that shift where this woman, that was, well known and respected in the industry, started to kind of take a backseat to him, almost like he may have been threatened by her success. And this is just, this whole thing, it's a terrible situation. If they didn't do it, I hope they're able to clear their name. But if they did do it, then, hey, these are the breaks.
Yeah, I hear so many things that are coming up when you talk about the background. And so until we get, they get clearance if they did or didn't do it. The backstory of him being kind of like toxic, and not letting her be autonomous because she was already famous, right? And with her, of course, doing what most Black women do, or what some Black men say we don't do, have your back, right? She went for, a man who was in jail, incarcerated, who was in that street life, but she helped him out, and she helped him out, and she let him be a part of that whole, status quo structure that she was a part of. What makes me angry about this is that Black women always get this label that we don't support our Black men, and that we're so independent. But Tiny is a people. And another thing that kind of makes me think maybe possibly they was into something was the fact that, I feel like he really exploits his daughter. Like, I don't know any fathers who are really extra in their daughter life like that. I don't know. Those are just my thoughts. I don't know.
I think it's crazy. Like, they got money, right? So sometimes you automatically assume that like those with money or have a certain type of privilege have different problems. But like, I'm gonna be completely real. I've been in just as toxic situations with men and been broke. You know what I'm saying? And it's messed up when you lose yourself in what you consider to be love or a relationship that you're trying to cultivate into something. And typically you see the red flags there before you fall down that rabbit hole. But it's just really strange to me, like, there's something that happens within toxicity or toxic relationships where you start losing yourself and you forget how to navigate and have self-autonomy over yourself and your decisions. And I think it takes a lot of healing, like once and I'm not even gonna say just a woman, but it takes a person when they have to leave that situation to really be on their own for a second to find themselves again. I think that also kind of plays into the fact that she has, like, in my opinion, a lot of issues with body image because she's had a lot of work done. She was always a beautiful girl prior to the work, but I wonder if some of that toxicity of the way that he's manipulative and gaslights her into moving a certain way or being submissive has also played into like the body image issues that she has and how she kind of like navigates with the kids as well.
Right. And that's the thing that you brought up, Staci, and I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people over the years have talked about Tiny like a dog. You know, they talked about her, they said she looked like Smokey Robinson when she got her eyes lightened and she had like blonde curly hair. You know, people said she looked like Miss Piggy, she was ugly. Why would T.I. mess with her? And again, it goes back to she was the breadwinner in the beginning. She enhanced his life. He didn't enhance hers. He moved into her house. She didn't move into his house because he didn't have a house and he had 2 kids. So I mean, she was a millionaire. He was a thousandaire, 100aire, something like that. So, you know, it's really irritating, you know, that people picked on her. And it's like, you know, a lot of people say, well, you know, she shouldn't listen to people. But it's like, you know, it's different when you're not famous and you have a few people. Like a lot of us have trouble dealing with a few people saying things to us. Imagine thousands and thousands of people saying things about the way you look and judging you and saying your husband should be cheating on you and why is he married to your ugly ass and blah, 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 blah. You know, why you're saying all these things about her. Of course she's eventually going to internalize it. She's had a lot of work done noticeably, and I, like Staci said, I believe she was really I thought she was cute. I never thought Tawny was ugly, but you know, everybody's got their preference and I understand, but these people have ranked this girl over the coals the way she looked. And then it's like now they're still talking about her, and it's like she can't win for losing, you know. And it's like she got to deal with the problems with her husband. She's got to deal with social media, and now this legal stuff is, ooh, that's a lot. Stephanie, what do you think?
I mean, for me, I feel like the breadwinner is the issue. Like, I don't feel like Black women can be breadwinners and not result in toxic love. Like, I just feel like Black men feel a certain way about not being in a position of power where the only way they know how to communicate that uncomfortable feeling is like toxic behavior, right? Like trying to make me feel bad, trying to talk people down. So I don't know. I just feel like, not that I'm normalizing his behavior, but I feel like it's a common thing that shows up a lot is like where, you know, something happens, life occurs, whatever. And it's like, you happen to be the wet breadwinner. And it's like, why in Black relationships can we not like have grace? Or if it's not having grace, right? Because there's some people who don't need no more grace. It's also just like, how do we, I don't know, I just think about this toxic love. I just think about how many Black men like feel upset that the Black woman is the breadwinner or that they're making more, and they lash out at them. They'll talk bad to them. They'll point out all these things they don't like. They'll be, you know, they'll try to call out things about being a mother. Like they'll do all these harmful things because they feel uncomfortable. And I just feel like he's a prime example of that, right? Like, I'm pretty sure he's always been used to being in the relationship and being like, yeah, I'm that guy. No. At least as far as being able, once he's been T.I., who he is now, right? And so I feel like she's the only one who knew whack him, okay?
Like the only one that knew Clifford, not T.I., fucking Clifford.
Yeah, so I feel like the power in it is that he wants to take it back and he wants his wife to see him how all his thoughts do. But she knew him as nothing, right? And I feel like that's the thing about Black women who help men grow. It's like once they get to a certain point, they get mad with how you see them because you saw them from the seed, right? And like now they a tree and they're like, see me as a tree. And it's like, nah, I remember when I was watering you every day. Okay. You was over here in a drought. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm sitting with it.
All right, Nicole, what are your thoughts?
So for me, I agree with what everyone says, and for me, I wear two different hats. You know, I wear the hat as an advocate and community organizer, and mostly around Black women rights. And 60% of us will be sexually assaulted before the age of 18. So you know what we're dealing with. So I have that hat as an advocate that actually knows what's going on behind the scenes, not television, but when somebody reports that they've been sexually abused. But the other hat is a survivor. And being a survivor of intimate partner violence and sexual assault, I can relate to what you all said about the body image issues and about basically being the breadwinner. Because a lot of times people think in our community, it's like a Lifetime movie. And when you're dealing with toxicity and domestic violence as Black women, you could be cooking, you could be cleaning, you could be bringing in the checks, you could be doing all of those things. And it's like, it's heavy. Because there's not a lot of statistics and a lot of information out there for us. We still silence. We always go, what happens in this house stays at this house. I talk about that a lot in presentations. And so with the advocate and the survivor hat, when I hear T.I. and Tiny, I think about my work with R. Kelly, Mute R. Kelly. And I think about how I was literally fighting with my own Black women to hold him accountable after 20 years. And Black women, we don't necessarily go to the police, look at everything that's happening. So I'm trying to think of ways of like transformative justice and different things to call people in, but I will call you out. We will call you out. But I feel like for Black women who are sexual assault survivors, when they look at how people respond to T.I. and Tiny case, they look at how people respond to R. Kelly and Bill Cosby. Like people look at that, and we have to be more responsible because everybody on here is parents, you know? And so it's kind of, I sit in this space where I'm literally praying for Tiny. I ain't praying for T.I. T.I. been on my list since he was worried about his daughter Hyman, okay? He gets no love over here. Because he's part of the problem, that Black toxicity, misogyny, and he know he got karma coming, and that's what the problem is. But I want accountability. I want accountability across the board. And if that's what it takes, I'm happy VH1 or whatever network they on, I heard canceled them for a little bit, put them on suspension. That's a good start. But I want to see this through and see what happens. But until then, like, if you a survivor, we believe you, we stand with you. So
Right. And the thing is, when it comes to it, it gets really tricky because, you know, people do make up false accusations, you know, and it's, you know, I've seen the downside of that. Like when you talk about the football player Brian Banks in California, that was accused of raping a woman, served time in prison, and kind of found out that she lied, and her and her mother lied to get money from the school district. And, you know, that was a very, egregious miscarriage of justice. And I feel that that woman should be prosecuted for what she did because she ruined his life. But however, I think that we have to be very careful with the narrative that we portray, because what happens sometimes is that, you know, we automatically assume that when people bring forth these charges, that the accuser is lying. You know, it's like they're lying. They're just trying to get, you know, they're cloud chasing, they're trying to get money, you know, and it makes it hard for victims to come forward because, and then it's like, if you don't tell in a certain time, well, why are you waiting until 20 years from now to say something? Like it's always hard for the victim, you know, a victim to come forward and tell their story because somebody is always going to be criticizing them. And, you know, some of that is due to people, you know, that do falsely accuse people of things. But, you know, it's you know, I think that we all need to be better at victims advocates. And also going back to Stephanie's point, you know, there's some Black men that do feel like that. And I feel like it's kind of a situation where, you're dealing with you have a lot of Black men are dealing with white supremacy out in the world, and when they come home, it's kind of like, that's like the only place that they feel like they can have authority. So that's why you hear a lot about the word submission. And the word submission means to yield to a higher authority. And I don't care what people say or, how they try to water down the word. The word means what it says. It means to yield to a higher authority. So if a man tells me that I'm supposed to submit to him, then what you're saying is that you're the higher authority. So what makes you the higher authority? But I digress. And this is, a great discussion. So let's go ahead and move on to our next hot topic, which has been talked about a lot, and it is the Gorilla Glue girl. I Ooh, child. You know what?
Her name? I'm sorry. Do we have her name?
I don't know. I don't know.
Terica, I believe it's her name.
Okay.
I don't know.
Tessica.
There you go. Sorry. Tessica.
It's
Yeah, we need to humanize her.
I'm not nice about this, so I'm going to try to say this as tactfully as I can. Eventually, she admitted that she knew that was not what she was supposed to use in her hair. She went and took the time to go find Gorilla Glue, which is used to glue wood and steel and other hard items, and put it in her hair. What did she think was going to happen? I mean, and it's like she got money on GoFundMe, like over $10,000 for medical expenses for something that she chose to do. She chose to go and buy Gorilla Glue and put it in her hair. And it's like, everybody's like, well, she should have grace. And then people are starting to make it about, it's about Black people hating their hair. No, that's about stupidity. Because I don't always like my hair, but I'll be damned if I go and buy some damn glue for my hair and run it through my hair. They make wigs, wraps, they make ball caps with wigs attached to them. But you, ma'am, went out and bought some glue and put it in your hair. And everybody's writing these think pieces about how we should give her grace. I don't give grace to stupidity. I'm sorry you're stupid and you put glue in your hair. That's all I got to say.
I mean, I disagree. I don't feel like she's stupid. I wouldn't use that harsh of language. But when she talked about what happened, I almost feel like it's like, I feel like the bigger issue is she said the main reason why she didn't go buy herself new glue was because her kid had her car and the only spray glue she could find around the house was Gorilla Glue. Now, I'm not making this a reason, but I don't know how many times y'all left some in your car and you wanted to get it, but then somebody else has the car and your stuff is in there. I've been that angry person. I'm trying to get ready for a call and I'm like, dang, all my makeup is in my car. Now, would I go around and get fake red peppers and rub it on my lips to get myself lip gloss? No, because I know the consequence of me rubbing peppers on my lip is going to be hot. But when someone asked her that, she said that she thought she could just put it on, do something for like 10, 15 minutes, come back home and wash it out. And by the time she got home, it had already set. So that's just my part on it. I don't know.
I'm torn between, like, I'm just torn between the whole like grace and not grace situation, because like we've all done some like strange things in the moment. I mean, it's just hard for me to fathom, like, social media has made errors of our ways laughing stock or like the butt of the jokes. And I just really hate at the end of the day to see Black people, especially Black women, be the butt of a joke. You know what I'm saying? And like, yes, I have a very great sense of humor and I like, joking and memes and all that stuff. But like, it just got so played out that it just makes me look at humanity as a whole. Like, this is what we've succumbed to. Like, our whole, like, this is what we've succumbed to. Like, glue in hair, mass interviews, GoFundMes. Like, we're still not even addressing the fact, like, when we lose loved ones in our life because we don't know the process about life insurance, that we have to do fish fries and GoFundMes. But she legit put glue in her hair, and like, we're back here, like, to this level of incompetence. And I think that's just like that just pulls on my heartstrings. Like 20 years from now, our kids are going to see this. And like, if somebody go redo the same dumb shit like 20 years from now, because we don't not ever end up being the butt of jokes when it comes to societies and like just failing in certain ways that we move throughout society. So that's like my biggest takeaway from it. It's just sad.
Yeah, and I'm what makes me angry about the situation, the fact that she got all these millions of views, she got the GoFundMe. Not to say that she don't need to get the glue out of her hair. And there was a doctor who will help her get it out. Kudos to him. My thing is, we have a lot of issues that need a GoFundMe account, fundraiser, that needs the million views. Like, don't we have a lot of Black people that are homeless, that needs medical insurance, that needs a vaccine from COVID, that may not ever have access to it, whether they want it or not? I just feel like Black people really pay attention to dumb stuff. And I'm sorry. I mean, I hear the word stupid is harsh. Incompetence sound better, but at the end of the day, what does incompetence mean? If we're gonna keep it real, I can't really condone the behavior. I get it, Stephanie. I get it. You're being nice about the situation, but however, I think there's a level of common sense that that needs to be had. And so now I'm having these conversations with my children. You need some glue, make sure you don't put it in your hair, honey. Okay, like that's real talk. Okay, because otherwise we just gonna shave it off or it's gonna be in there. Okay, because come on, y'all. Another thing that makes me angry is that Gorilla Glue Girl. You know what that does for the Black community? You know how they equated Black people to monkeys, orangutans, that the whole monkey family? I don't like it. And we sensualize the whole thing. And I'm sorry, I'm tired of Black people paying attention to things like this. I mean, yes, I am happy that she got the glue out her head, but there's other things in life that needs million views and a GoFundMe account.
But think about it, Marnese, it's not even just Black people that are paying attention to the stupidity or the incompetence of this. Like, overall, like, it's bad enough, like, other countries look at Americans as, like, the dumbest, like, we're supposed to have, like, the greatest country in the world, but, like, we over here doing dumb shit like this. Or, like, that gives white supremacists even more of a reason to say the shit that they say, or, like, start the, saying the addressing how we wear our hair or how we carry ourselves or like how we think. And it's just bad representation all around for like this one incident going viral, and how it dismantles all of the great things that Black people and Black women are. And like, this shit is not going away. And it's been how many months?
Yeah.
And also they called her girl on purpose. Like, she's a grown woman. Like, she got grown kids. No, but I also mean, like, there always is this space where people like to call older Black women girls. Okay. It's like that demeaning language that they use. And like, what, you're offensive? I meant girl. But like, no, y'all know what you meant. So I feel like that is another point of it. It's like, she's grown. Like, this is, she's like 41, 42.
And they didn't highlight the fact that she looks very good for her age. Like, Black don't crack. They didn't give her credit for that, whether what she did was dumb or incompetent or not. But they called her girl as a dehumanizing type of tactic, which at the end of the day, we don't run media. The Black folks don't run media. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nicole.
No, you go ahead. You're right. Because I wanted to say, like, yeah, the Black folks don't run media, TV, or social media, but white women, please stop trying to make that a conversation starter. Like, we already don't like when you come in the room and you ask us about our hair, don't touch it. It's COVID, don't touch it. Don't touch our hair. Sick of it. Like, they try to connect in that way. It makes me feel like Sarah Bartman, for real, 2021 edition.
Yeah. And even if it wasn't COVID, don't touch our hair.
And I get where y'all are coming from, but I guess I'm going to be the dissenting opinion. That shit was stupid. And the fact that she was 40 years old makes it even hella worse. She's not slow. She just did it because and then the thing is, this is the thing. When you do something stupid, don't tape it and don't put it out there. That's the issue that I have. She taped it and she put it out there for everybody to see how dumb she was. And then she
a month after though.
But she didn't have to put it out there. We would have never known that she did that dumb shit had she not put it out there. Sometimes my mom says when you do stupid stuff, it's best to keep it to yourself. Don't tell nobody. So she told everybody. Everybody had an opinion, but the shit was dumb. I feel you, Stephanie. You're a bleeding heart. I get it. I'm like that too, but I'm sorry. That shit was dumb.
I just don't feel like she would have got it resolved if she wouldn't have put on social media. Like the guy in LA did it. She was in what, Louisiana?
But she put
everybody in Louisiana. I'm just saying, everybody in Louisiana was trying to rip out her hair from the scalp with acetone, and she was shaking on the ER. Right. So I hear you, but there is a moment when we all are doing our hair care when we're like, all right, I need reinforcement.
Has anybody ever have y'all ever put glue in your hair?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I put glue in my hair. Not Gorilla glue.
But have you put did you put some damn super glue in your hair? Did you ever sit at one point in time like, oh, my hair is messed up. Girl, let me get some super glue. I ain't got no gel. Or did you just put your bonnet on and go to the damn store?
See, but that unpacks some.
I have glued my fingers together.
You know what?
See, but that unpacks some other shit though, if you think about it. It's a lot of unhealthy tactics that us as Black women use that's normalized. So what's the difference of us using toxic products that we already use? We used to use talcum powder or baby powder on our breasts and then our, down to keep the sweat from out the hoo-ha. Like all that shit is bad for you. So you get what I'm saying? Like I would say that sometimes we need to recognize that there are some disabilities that exist that may not be as noticeable or visible. And I don't know how to politically correctly say, like, maybe she does have a learning disability or something. There's a disconnect there of why maybe she moved in the way that she moved.
She didn't have one that was bad enough to keep her putting that GoFundMe to get that money to get that glue out her head.
And then there's Gorilla Snot though.
Good paragraph out, like, please help.
See, but they got Gorilla Snot though. And
that's what it is.
They targeted towards Black women.
Same. She said it was. She knew. She knew.
No. She said that got to be styled. No. See, there's another gel that's called Gorilla Snot. Because I know the first time I talked to my mom about this, she was like, "Did she put Gorilla Snot?" And I was like, "No. Gorilla Glue."
Right.
Okay, it's a difference.
What she said was she knew that it wasn't the same thing. And that was another reason why. Because I said, let me see if maybe she did it by mistake. No, it wasn't a mistake. That's why I'm glad she got it out. But that shit was dumb. Just like eating Tide Pods. It's like the equivalent of eating Tide Pods. I'm sorry. It is. I'm sorry.
You know what? See, that's why I'm going to stick to my press and curl and my sew ins because this is too much. See, this is too much for my life.
And I'm going to keep going to the barber. Shout out to Chavez Mom and the Grooves Barber in Columbus. Reynoldsburg. And these good hair wraps.
Shout out to Britney Spears because I had my moment in 2019.
Say that shit.
Fashion statement.
Say that shit. Now, I got this weave.
I worked my trauma out and I stuck with it and I made it, honey.
Yes.
And Staci and Stephanie are our two blonde ambitioners right there.
I love Black women can do everything.
That's right. Well, that's it for Hot Topics. So now we're going to let Nicole give us some positive affirmations and some sage.
See, this was perfect because we were trying to decide where we're going to do the positive affirmation and sage before, but I knew we were going to get a little rough. We knew we was going to get a little rowdy. We cussing and stuff, but it's the Angry Black Woman show. So, the beautiful thing about it is that's what we're here for. So I wanted to, before I did the sage, I wanted to read a short little poem, little affirmation that Staci and I came up with yesterday. So it's called "You Are Amazing," and this is even to you. What's her name?
Tessica.
Okay. You are amazing. as you are. Stronger than you know, more beautiful than you think, worthier than you believe, more love than you could ever imagine, passionate about making a difference, fiery when protecting those you love, learning, growing, not alone, warm, generous, giving, quirky, sexy, ow, funny, smart, flawed, whole, sacred, brave, and so much more. Be strong, be confident, be you. And with ending that, you spark up. I'm about to spark up some sage. I'll show y'all. There we go.
And now, the Angry Black Women Show will pay tribute to our shero, Cicely Tyson. Cicely Tyson, born December 19th, 1924, was an African-American actress and fashion model. In a career spanning more than 7 decades, Cicely Tyson became known for her portrayal of an African American woman. Tyson received 3 Primetime Emmy Awards, 4 Black Reel Awards, an Honorary Academy Award, a Tony, and a Peabody Award.
Come on, who's kidding who, huh? You had it, right? I mean, that's it, isn't it? When you found out you ain't no miracle worker, didn't you?
Why are you always pushing me to put you down? Can't you stand love?
Look, I am what I am, baby, that's it.
What do you think I expect of you?
I don't know. I don't know what you expect. But whatever the hell you expect of me, I can't make it, baby. I just can't.
Adam, I don't want you to be any less than what you are.
Having appeared in minor film and television roles early in her career, Tyson garnered widespread attention and critical acclaim for her performance as Rebecca Morgan in Sounder in 1972. She was nominated for both the Academy Award for Best Actress and Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in a Motion Picture Drama for her work in the film. Tyson's portrayal of the title role in the 1974 television film, The Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, based on the book by Ernest J. Gaines, won her further praise among other accolades. The role won her 2 Emmy Awards and a nomination for the BAFTA Award for Best Actress in a Leading Role. Tyson continued to act in film and on television in the 21st century. In 2011, she played the role of Constantine Jefferson in the award-winning film The Help. Let's go back and talk about Cicely Tyson's early life. She was born in East Harlem in December 1924 to Frederica and William Tyson, who were both immigrants from the West Indies. Tyson grew up in a religious atmosphere. She sang in the choir and attended prayer meetings. Tyson's mother was opposed to her becoming an actress and would not speak to her for a very long time, until she saw her appear on stage.
My father was a Bajan.
who came to this country a cabin boy in a merchant marina.
I know all of that, Mama.
Then know this. I am alive because of the blood of a people who never scraped or begged or apologized for what they were. They asked only one thing of this world: to be allowed to be. And I learned through the blood of these people that black isn't beautiful. It isn't ugly. It isn't kinky hair. It isn't straight hair. Black is just black.
Tyson was discovered by a photographer for Ebony magazine and became a successful fashion model. Later on in her career, in 1989, Tyson appeared in the television miniseries The Women's Abuser Place. In 1991, Tyson appeared in Fried Green Tomatoes as Sipsy, and in 1994 and 95 television series Sweet Justice, where she portrayed a civil rights activist and attorney named Carrie Grace Battle, a character she modeled after Washington, D.C. civil rights and criminal defense lawyer Dove Johnson Roundtree.
I certainly didn't expect it. I wasn't one of those children who went to the movies on Saturday and looked at the screen and say, I want to be a movie star. It happened quite by accident. You know, I just got bored to death one day typing on a typewriter, and I pushed myself away from the desk, and I announced to whosoever will, I was sure that God did not put me on the face of the earth to bang on a typewriter for the rest of my life. There must be something else for me to do. I didn't know what it was, but I was going to find it. And I pulled myself back up to the typewriter, proceeded to type, and I realized that mine was the only one going, and I sort of peeped up, and everybody else was sitting there looking at me. In any event, I went, 2 weeks later, my hairstylist asked me to do a fashion show for him. And that led to modeling, and it was while I was out on an interview for a modeling job that I was spotted by a character actress whose name was Evelyn Davis, and she had just been up for a movie and suggested that I, go and try for the role, which I did, and I got it.
Cicely Tyson had other notable film roles that she played in, which includes Hoodlum in 1997, Diary of a Mad Black Woman in 2005, and the television film Oldest Living Confederate Widow Tells All in 1994. She also played in A Lesson Before Dying in 1999, and she appeared in the Why Did I Get Married To and narrated the Paul Robeson award-winning documentary Up From the Bottoms, The Search for the American Dream. Tyson had a daughter when she was 17 years old, and at age 18, Tyson married Kenneth Franklin on December 27, 1942. She dissolved the marriage in 1956, and she began dating jazz trumpeter Miles Davis in the 1960s. Tyson was the godmother to Lenny Kravitz and also Denzel Washington's and Tyler Perry's children. Tyson was an honorary member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and she was a vegetarian. Tyson died on January 28, 2021 at the age of 26. So the Angry Black Women show would like to pay homage to our ancestor and a strong black woman for all the hard work and her legacy and just being a wonderful black woman. Thank you so much, Cicely Tyson, and of course your legacy will live on throughout all of us and all black women. Thank you. Welcome, students, to the Black to School session. I am your facilitator for this evening, Miss Mastermind. So for today's class, first let's start off with some class rules. Let's be present, prepare to unlearn and relearn, pay attention, and take notes. So for today's session, we're going to talk about tokenism versus representation. So what does tokenization mean? It is a practice of making an effort that is only symbolic to be inclusive of minority groups, to keep up an appearance of racial and or sexual equality. So, tokenism or authentic representation appear to be on the same page at the surface. Tokenism and diverse representation are different because of the intention and reasoning behind the action. Representation means engaging with and embracing people from different backgrounds and actually valuing their opinions and expertise through acknowledging the knowledge and perspective they may bring to the conversation. On the other hand, tokenism is simply an empty gesture solely with the purpose of earning diversity points. So you may see this in the workplace or in college admissions or in classrooms, diversity points. So while tokenism is an afterthought or an easy or quick solution, inclusivity and representation are embedded in their values and operations from the get-go. So let's talk about what representation looks like. So just recently, we were all super excited, well, most of us, about the Netflix series called Bridgerton. It was created by Shondaland veteran Kris Van Dusen based on Julia Quinn's novel, which appears on Netflix, so you can still see it. It's still there. And it's a period drama, a romance genre, breaking down conventions on race. And it has made global news and it's like really recognized. However, let's unpack the racial representation in the cast. Bridgerton did not do a lot of hinting, or they did a lot of hinting and winking around race without actually ever going into the conversation. It was almost like they were scared to talk about it. So let's get to some themes. Let's first talk about the lead characters, which are a Black male and a white female interracial dating. So obviously this is very entertaining because Jean Page, who plays the character Simon, is fine, right? However, there is some chemistry between the other main character, Daphne. Daphne is a white woman, and I think a lot of women or Black women may be angry because that comes off as boring or basic human being. There's no to her personality. And Simon is just like, he makes you just want to melt. Okay, I'm sorry. Teaching a class. So we don't have enough depictions of Black love on television or even of interracial relationships that don't center whiteness, okay? But if you are going to give us this type of relationship, let's make it real. Bridgerton, it was a good drama, but it was kind of in fantasy. It's a Black man, a white woman, which we know historically is a loaded conversation and combination. There's even a whole fight about how Daphne's brother, Anthony, for example, didn't think Simon was a perfect person for her sister because he gets caught sleeping around, he's in brothels, and it could possibly be that his brother is racist, and that he didn't want her to marry a Black man. I'm not saying that Anthony is a bigot, but let's just acknowledge there's something that's going on there. And I think there's a lot of color blindness and blind spots that's going on in this series. Let's talk about the perception of Black women. I mean, it's fine, but these Black women in this movie, they kind of come off very power frigid, hypersexual, especially when you saw Daphne's other brother having threesomes with two Black women, gorgeous women. And also one of the Black women was concealing the homosexuality of the artist by being married to him because, probably during that time, homosexuals weren't accepted. So a lot of the Black women were used to support mostly the leading character. But let's talk about struggle love and dysfunctional love. Marina, for example, she's the Featherton's pregnant cousin, and we don't really know much about her backstory. And it comes off like you don't even care about how she got pregnant. The theme is that she got pregnant out of wedlock. And for Black people that are watching, we know that's pretty much a stereotype within our community. And Marina, she became all of a sudden the villain. We're not supposed to root for her, right? We were supposed to feel bad for Penelope, her white cousin, because Colin really blindly loved Marina, regardless of the fact if she was pregnant out of wedlock. And so she became a villain when she did not want to go along with the scheme that Lady Featherton wanted her to do. So all of a sudden she became chaotic, she became ruthless, which, it was the stigma about her being pregnant, and she's the only Black person in the family. So in the theme of struggle love, Marina struggled to find where her lover was. He was at war and he got killed. Why couldn't she just be married or just be in love with someone? Kind of like the lead character, Simon and Daphne. Well, let's go on to the next theme in Bridgerton as we unpack this. Colorism, 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 as it plagues our community still. There were not enough dark-skinned Black women who look like me on the show to take a lead character. And unfortunately, this may have been an issue with Netflix. Most of their characters are light-skinned, and it's kind of exhausting. So the colorism really was an issue for me. All the characters were beautiful, but I want to see someone that looks like me, that's not in a supportive role or not playing a role of high society in a movie. And then let's talk about Queen Charlotte and Lady Danbury as being kind of like minor roles. These characters existed and they were powerful characters. I wish they would have lifted up the queen herself, because during that time, it would like to have seen a Black person. She just seemed very gossipy and very headstrong. And Black women always get that representation. But then also Lady Danbury, she was there to prop Simon up. She gave him the self-confidence that he needed. And she was also giving me the old magical, Negro vibes, where she said, I am the magical, all-knowing person who is going to guide you along your journey and give you wisdom. And indeed, she did do that. And she was close to Simon's mother. However, there was no real backstory behind her. And she knew his father. So I would have to say Bridgerton, it was good for fantasy, but wasn't the right representation. So I would love for us to unpack this in the chat and give me your thoughts. And so for our homework assignment, please write in the chat, have you been tokenized, or were you representing the Black people in a positive way to advance our community? Because our representation is not good representation. And before you do that, I want to show you this clip of Queen Charlotte's hair when she was rocking her afro. I have to say maybe that was one of the good representations, because you don't see that, and you probably wouldn't have saw that back in that era. So thanks for attending my class, and we will see you next month.
Hi, my name is LaDedra, and for today's cooking session, I am going to do vegan street tacos. So, what I'm using is the Emerge plant-based chicken brine. I'm sorry the label's torn up, but I was trying to cook. And this one is really good because it has 21 grams of protein, no soy, and it's completely vegan. It does contain wheat items though, so if you're allergic to wheat, you might not want to use this, but you can use any plant-based meat you want to. I have a bowl of black beans. I rinsed these off. I got them in a can from Kroger, low sodium, but I don't like the bean juice, I guess what you call it, so I rinsed it off really good. And then I have some onions that I chopped up that I'm cooking with the vegan-based meat. And I have some cilantro, some diced jalapenos, and some limes that I'm going to put on top of the tacos once they're done. I also have the Mission Protein plant-powered tortillas, and these are really good because they have plant-based protein, they're vegan, and they have 12 grams of fiber and 7 grams of protein, which is really good. I'm what you would call a flexitarian, and what that means is that I eat mostly plant-based, but I also enjoy dairy from time to time, and I also eat up to 28 grams of lean meats, so chicken, turkey, and fish. So that's about 7 servings a week, which is pretty good. So right now, I have the plant-based meat cooking in the skillet with some onion and some cooking spray. And so this is what it looks like right now, if you can see that. So it looks like ground chicken. So I'm gonna let that cook for maybe about 5 or 10 minutes because you don't want it to get really dry because it's not meat and it doesn't have grease in it. So can't cook it very long, and you want to cook it on as low as the temperature as possible. And then I have this Ortega, taco seasoning mix. It's got 40% less sodium just to give it a little seasoning. I've never opened this before, so if it looks kind of crazy, my apologies in advance. Okay, this came out pretty easy. So I'm only going to use a little bit just to give it a little flavoring because I don't like a lot of sodium. And with the onion and stuff, I think it's going to give it the seasoning that it needs. Not too much. I know it looks like a lot, but it's not. So, I know some of you are wondering why I became a flexitarian. How I became a flexitarian is completely by accident. I am almost 46, and I have severe menstrual cramps and really heavy flows. I don't have fibroids or anything, so that wasn't it. It's just that I have a really heavy cycle. So 1 month by mistake, I realized that when I ate less meat, my menstrual cycle symptoms weren't as bad. So I was like, this may be a thing to this. So originally, I was not eating red meat and pork, and then I just reduced my meat intake. With that though, you have to be careful because what you don't want to do is add other things in like candy, ice cream, things like that. Cause I wasn't doing it for a calorie, for like weight loss. I was just doing it to relieve my symptoms, but I did wind up losing weight. So it helps if that's something you want to try. But I definitely, talk to your doctor about it. But it's worked really well for me. I've lost several inches. It has helped my skin. It's helped my sleep. I'm not as irritable and bloated as I used to be with eating like all the red meat and pork like that. And then like red meat and pork have like hella sodium. So this is another reason why like a plant-based lifestyle is a lot better. But again, don't plan on being vegetarian or vegan. I don't want those type of restrictions, which is why flexitarian works for me. And then I have this awesome Malbec, has 13.5% alcohol, but this is 2 ounces, maybe 2.5. So this is all I'm gonna have, because I don't drink as much like anymore because it's just really not good for you and it just adds on the calories. But it's nice to have while I'm talking to y'all while I'm cooking. So I'm gonna let this cook for about another 5 minutes. I'm gonna dice this up a little bit more so y'all can see what it looks like. I like to cook, but with me having 3 kids, I don't have a ton of time. I know you're probably like, where's your kids? They're not here right now. so it's nice and quiet, so I can talk to you all. Let's see here. And with the plant-based recipes that I do, a lot of it I kind of just go off the top of my head. I'm like, hey, I want tacos, but I don't want to eat meat, so I go get something like this and it helps. Or I make vegan chili really good. Last week I made a vegan baked spaghetti. It was really bomb. A lot of soups. Make a lot of soups, things like that. Just stuff that just whatever pops in my head. It's not really that hard, and it's not expensive to cook plant-based. I know that's what they tell you, but it's not. You just have to have a little bit of imagination. Some people make their own plant-based meat. I'm not there yet, but I get it when it's on sale. So like when they have coupons and stuff, I'll usually go buy like 2 or 3 packs of it, put it in the freezer, and it's all good. Some of the cookbooks that I use, there's Vegan Hippie Soul by Dominique Williamson. This is a really good cookbook. I made the sausage and cheese grits, and it was really good. And then I have this Caribbean vegan recipe, and it has a lot of raw foods in there, raw food recipes. You ought to check it out. This one is by Tamer Mason, and I got both of these from Amazon. So now that this is cooking, what I do is some people keep their beans separate. I don't. So I'm going to take this and cook this in the bowl with the meat. Because I like mixing mine together. It just makes it easier. It just makes sense because I'm going to put beans on it anyway, right? I'm put a little bit more taco seasoning. So once this is done, I'm going to let this cook a little bit more. This is what it looks like. Not too much to it. I'm going to let this cook. I'm going to put the lid on here. And then after it's done, I'm going to put one of these on a plate. Add the chopped jalapenos, the cilantro, the lime. And then I have some non-dairy cheese here. I'm going to show you that. This brand right here is really good. Out of all the vegan cheeses, this one melts the best. And sprinkle a little bit on here. Put some salsa, and that's it. So, I hope you learned something new this evening. And I'll post a picture of what the street tacos look like when they're finished. Bye.
So the 3 things that I love about Black women: one, no matter how you try to shape it, reshape it, and reframe it, Black women gave birth to the world. Not to a couple of people, but to the world. That's just a fact. Um, they're very spiritual and nurturing beings. Um, no matter how you look at this, the first person to pray for you in the womb was your mama. She might have cussed you out afterwards, but it's because she loved you. So, both spiritually and nurturing. 3, endless beauty. I don't care what alleged dysfunctions physically someone can find about a Black woman. Again, I say allegedly, but at the end of the day, the black don't crack is real. And the beauties of a Black woman is immeasurable, and you can't really compare them. Plain and simple. I don't care what another guy like. At the end of the day, when you look at one Black woman, you have literally seen one Black woman. There's no way to cookie cutter it. Dimensions of face, curvature of figure, mindset, no matter what it is, you just can't mimic it. I mean, people are trying by using Botox and stuff and getting shots in different parts of their body, but you can't mimic what God has made so gracefully. So the 3 negatives, took a little bit longer to think about this. So as weak as these may be, one is the fact that some Black queens decided they want to look European. That their black skin that they're wrapped in is not good enough, and so they want to look at what mainstream society say they should look like, and do all this stuff to themselves to try to look more like the people who's trying to look more like them. Also, some women choose to live up to ignorant stereotypes that society has painted for them. That'll be the evil, in quotations, black woman. And so, like movies like Deliverers from Eva, Gabrielle Union finds herself gotta act like, that she's this incredible control freak monster. And so, trying to live up to those stereotypes. And then, that they're not good enough for anything if you let people tell it. Some people say that, black women, what are they good for? Well, they are the most educated population in the country and perhaps in the world. And so for some women to want to be ignorant implicitly, it is what it is. So those are my three negatives.
So, 3 things that I feel is desirable about black women. 1, just flat out ability to nurture and love through some of the most horrible shit that a person could possibly go through. I was well into my adulthood before I understood the complex things that a lot of young women who are now adult women been through, but they were able to get through it. Whether they were molested as a child, fucked up upbringing, kids early by undeserving men. So just the ability for my black sisters to be nurturing through it all, the strength behind that. Obviously, their beauty is nothing on this planet that's built better than a black woman. It's crazy how the world is now, because I can remember in the 90s where having, big boobs and big, behinds, which our women were naturally born with back in the day, was a no-go. You know what I'm saying? And so now to see that worldwide women are buying and doing everything they can to get what the black woman has been born with, but yet shame them for it. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that we were born with. They were born with, and they have 100% ownership of, but never was given the credit. Black women were not. The natural black woman was never given the credit of her body. She was shamed. So to make it through that and then come out on the other side, it's amazing. How our sisters can go. So I'm way beyond 1 minute, but just to recap, the ability to nurture, the physical beauty. There's nothing more beautiful than a black woman, and the intelligence. They're one of the smartest creatures on this earth. Who knows what would have happened if they were given full control? Would the world be a better place? A lot of people believe that. Some folks that believe the black woman is God. Well, seeing all the things that she got to deal with and resurrect herself from and rise from the ashes again and still able to have career, family, education, this, that, and the third, sound like a godly act to me. But hey, let me know if I need to redo this, because it's like 3 minutes long. All right, 3 things that fucking suck for black women and make them like, so I'll say attitude is nothing fucking worse than a woman with just bad disposition for no fucking reason at all. Like, be a woman. You know what I'm saying? That might sound sexist. I don't think it is, because I think everybody got their own place. There's things that a woman can do that I can't. But you're not about to out alpha me. That's just not gonna happen. So a woman leading with her chest, and ain't got nothing to do with being strong and confident. I just believe you being a dick. Let's see. Money. If everything is about money hungry, you know what I'm saying? Like, It's always an angle. Yes, a man should have money, but you know, it is not your money to use. You know, especially if you're really down for you, whatnot. Don't use them like that. You know what I'm saying? Everything ain't about money. You know what I'm saying? So I hate a user. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the way a woman can speak to a man. Now, I mean, this goes both ways. You know what I'm saying? But y'all can say some things that will, cut a man's throat. You know, so, I mean, so at the end of the day, I would say attitude. Some women, just like men have mama issues, some women have daddy issues, so they may not know how to communicate. And then the what can you do for me type attitude. Not that I'm saying a man shouldn't be able to do anything for you. He should. But find a man that want to do that willingly versus you trying to, you know, always work an angle on any dude. You know what I'm saying? Then you out of a good dude because you was on your bullshit. But dudes is on bullshit too now, but it ain't what makes, you know, y'all got to tell me what make me bad. So, let me see. Marnese, am I doing this right? Let me know.
The outer beauty of a black woman has inspired a large catalog of music and other inspirational artistic endeavors. The inner beauty, all the different qualities, the femininity, the kindness, the poise, intelligence, those intangible things that go beyond outer beauty. Black woman has all that and then some. And then the strength. Historically, personally, countless accounts and stories, true stories, of the black women persevering despite.
So I was recently asked, what is most desirable about a black woman? And, you know, I thought to myself, I said, I could go on and on and on about my black women, you know, but of course I'm gonna go ahead and keep it brief and keep it short. First off, I come from a black woman, and everything that I got in regards to love and compassion and the culture of our people, a lot of that came from my grandmother and my mother. And, you know, with that being said, you know, our black women, they're beautiful, first off. Skin tone, the smiles, the teeth, the shape, ain't nothing better in the world than that. And I married a black woman. So with that being said, a strong black woman that supports me, that's my rock, that's my backbone, that stood behind me through all of the craziness and the immaturity and my growth and the mistakes that I made. I got that with a black woman. So again, I desire a beautiful soul, a beautiful heart. And I find that in a black woman. So I got asked another question. What do I find most undesirable about a black woman? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. It is, black women has gone through so much. And with that being said, there ain't nothing undesirable about our women, you know. And again, sometimes we do run into the stereotypes that we'll hear where some folks will say the angry black woman, right? And let me go hit on that a little bit. Guess what? We should be angry a little bit. The history behind our black women, everything that they've gone through, everything that they fought for, ain't nothing better than that. You can't say that, you know, because someone carries themselves with confidence, because someone carries themselves with poise, because someone's not afraid to communicate when they're treated unfairly, or if there's some type of injustice, or they're feeling as if somebody putting them in a wrong spot or a bad situation. Our black women is strong, and you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna speak up. They're gonna speak up every single time, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And that doesn't make them an angry black woman. That makes them a strong, unapologetic Black woman. And I love them for that.
Happy Tuesday. Dennis Williams, owner of La Crepe Restaurant, Royal Oak, Michigan. If you're ever in the mood for some good crepes, come check us out. The 3 questions that I were asked, well, I was asked 2 questions and told to give 3 answers. What do I enjoy about Black women? Their resilience, their focus-driven, and the fact that Black doesn't crack. What are 3 things that I have an issue with Black women? I believe selective equality. I believe the double standards. Sometimes women, they want equal rights without equal responsibility. And thirdly, I wish that African American women would sometimes learn to take the armor off. Everything's not a war, conflict, competition, or debate. And understand that although a Black man can't protect you, we do love you.
I love Black women because Black women are some of the most powerful, amazing, inspiring people on earth. Black women is the backbone, not just of the family, but is the backbone to our society. Black women is always there at the forefront, providing support, caring, and also providing resources to people that need, no matter what's going on. Black women just have this inherent ability to comfort people, comfort all people when comfort is needed. Black women is the earth. Black women is motherhood. Black women is Mother Nature. Black women is our society. We would not be here in a society if it wasn't for Black women. And that's one of the most amazing things I love about Black women.
Peace, queens. Peace to the earths. It's the same thing as the Black woman. I'm glad that you guys wanted me to do this. And to keep it real quick, one of the most favorite things that I love about Black women is literally the fact that they are resilient. Their resilience is what I appreciate in a Black woman. Remember, as a fact, the Black woman is the mother of civilization, and that means she's the earth. And because the Black woman is the earth and she has life within her, that means that she's righteous by nature, not just because of the qualities that we see on the physical level, but we have to understand that her mind is righteous because she reflects the will of a righteous Black man who's civilized, who's God. So because a Black woman is righteous in her mindset, her resilience means that she does everything to keep things right and exact in the family, in the home. And it really has nothing to do with her social status, her financial status. You know, she could be a woman that's working for Wall Street, or a woman that has her own business. And she could be a woman that has her own thoughts, using her own creativity to help the children, to help her community. But the fact that because she's righteous by nature, she always wants to make things righteous, regardless of what the situation. That's why she'll go through any condition, she'll go through any situation to be resilient. I see that in my mother, I see that in some of the sister friends that I have, and hopefully that's the key to the righteous woman who I will plant my seed in. So that's the best thing to me in a Black woman, her resilience. Peace. All right. Let me answer these questions for my sister. Sis, I'm sorry to be clutch in the last minute, but I want to go ahead and answer these questions for you. Question of what makes Black women desirable, and I'm speaking from in terms, of course, of what made my wife desirable. And I'm just give you 3 things that made her desirable to me as a Black woman. One was her her strength. At the time, you know, she was a very, very strong-minded. Honestly, it was a turnoff in the beginning. You know, I took it as her being nonchalant more so than strong, you know, just and wanting to see what I was about before any type of pursuit. Then she also had a drive about her, you know. I think her drive matched or even in some cases outdid mine. She worked 3 jobs. She had goals in mind while going to school, doing different things to pursue what she was going after. So her drive was definitely attractive. And then I think that, you know, it was across the board in Black women. They have a drive about them. It depends on, you know, who you ask on that. And then also one of the key things for Black women is the grit. And my wife has that as well. It's just the perseverance over the long term. When you think about grit and just that bit of an attitude that I ain't really gonna take nothing type of attitude that makes them go forward, overcome things, get through things, even when things hurt them, even when things try to hold them back, different obstacles that they face, they still push through it and seek what they're desiring to gain, the desired outcome. And so grit, I think, you know, on the other side of the question of what makes Black women have the stereotype of angry Black woman, I think sometimes those 3 things can make that stereotype come about, because when you think of a Black woman and all the different things that they have to overcome, especially when they're dealing with, in most Black homes, raising children by themselves, growing up necessarily without a male figure in the household, I believe, you know, they get a chip on their shoulder, you know, and that chip on their shoulder is not necessarily, to me, it's not a bad thing, because it also gives them that strength, that drive, and that grit that they need, and that is helpful, you know, when they do get into a marriage or a relationship, or just even to make it throughout life, corporate life, whatever it may be. I think that chip on their shoulder helps push them forward. So when somebody tries to knock them down, get in their way, or tell them that they can't have something, they push through it. And I think, you know, just the way that they handle it, it may come off as them being angry, but I don't think it's being angry at all. I think it's just more so being
I love Black women because
driven.
you guys are the
All right.
creators.
That might have been more than 1 minute. Sorry.
Black
Thanks.
women
Bye.
wouldn't be here. Nurturers, you know, you guys are forever forgiving, loving, kind, powerful. I mean, so much to be said about the Black woman. You know, gentle, resilient. You know, just so many words that describe the Black queen. Those are just a few.
Yo, what's up? It's Kris Massey. I have a strong admiration and appreciation for Black women because you inspire me. You're just amazing in so many ways, but mainly it's because of the genuine, often not acknowledged strength. You know, it takes a very strong person to let somebody else feel like they're actually in control, and to be able to build that person up, to have the power to actually build them up and or destroy them. But often more than not, you know, it's often building up, and often you don't receive that same, it's not reciprocated. So I admire you, I appreciate you, and I love you, and I just want to say thank you. Peace.
Hello, this is Michael M. Hotep. I'm the founder of the African History Network. I'm a talk show host, researcher, lecturer, and writer. So I was asked to answer these questions by Sister Marnese Jackson. What about Black women or African American women is desirable? Well, their spiritual connection. African American women are very spiritual women. Their tenacity, perseverance, commitment to their families, their intelligence, they're brilliant throughout history, African women have been brilliant throughout history. Their beauty, their sensuality, and some people that know me know I say if it ain't black, I throw it back. Okay, so, and all shades of African American women are beautiful. Their skin complexion, but all shades of African American women are beautiful. Light, bright, damn near white, doesn't matter. Dark skin, they're all beautiful. What about black women or African American women is undesirable, is the second question, or makes them get the stereotype of an angry black woman. So I think the stereotype of the angry black woman as being hostile or aggressive or domineering is largely perpetuated by media, but unfortunately some of our sisters buy into that and perpetuate it. Okay, we can see this with the reality TV shows. Many African American women are disconnected from African history, African culture, etc., as a legacy of slavery, and this influences how many of them see themselves and see African Americans in general. Okay, and will use negative pejorative terms to possibly describe themselves or people who look like them, the N-word, B's, H's, etc., that are dehumanizing terms. And third, because of a lot of unresolved trauma, it can possibly complicate relationships with some, not everyone, but with some African American women, it can possibly complicate relationships if there is unresolved trauma, possibly. Okay, so those are just a few. Hopefully I answered your questions. Thank you.
So we are going to be doing some breath work together, and Staci and I are going to lead the breath work exercise. Yet before we do that, and we encourage you all to look up yourself, before we do that, we wanted to explain what breath work is. Breath work refers to any type of breathing exercises or techniques. People often perform them to improve mental, physical, and spiritual well-being. During breath work, you intentionally change your breathing patterns. Breath work is an active form of meditation. It allows us to disconnect from our mind and be guided by our body and our heart. As we breathe out thoughts, beliefs, memories, actions that do not support our growth, we return to our wholeness and feel more equipped to handle stress, anxiety, and any trauma that may linger. There are many different breathwork techniques, and each one has a unique purpose and effect on the body. We are now getting ready for breathwork. Yet before we do breathwork, we want to give a little background to what breathwork is. Breathwork refers to any type of breathing exercises or techniques. People often perform them to improve mental, physical, and spiritual well-being. During breath work, you intentionally change your breathing patterns. Breath work is an active form of meditation. It allows us to disconnect from the mind and be guided by our heart and our body. As we breathe out thoughts, beliefs, memories, actions that do not support our growth, we return to our wholeness and feel more equipped to handle stress, anxiety, and any trauma that may linger. There are many different types of breathwork techniques, and each one has a unique purpose and effect on the body.
Now, there are many forms of breathwork therapy that involve breathing in a conscious and systematic way. Many find breathwork that promotes deep relaxation or leaves them feeling energized. People practice breathwork for a variety of reasons. Overall, it's thought to aid positive self-development, boost immunity, process emotions, heal emotional pain and trauma, develop life skills, develop or increase self-awareness, enrich creativity, improve personal and professional relationships, increase confidence, self-image, and self-esteem, increase joy and happiness, overcome addictions, reduce stress and anxiety levels, and one of the most important ones that we often are challenged by as Black women is release negative thoughts that have been indoctrinated in us.
As Staci said before, our affirmation today is I breathe in peace and I exhale doubt. We will practice the 4-7-8 breathing technique. It is known to slow the heart rate, bring our consciousness to the present moment, and envision calmness and peace.
It has the added bonus of teaching the body to take in less. And traditionally in our culture of society, where we saturate the mind and body with external stimulation, it's good to know how to create space between inhale and exhale, as well as how to release excess energy in a healthy way.
The traditional way of doing 4-7-8 breathing is to empty the lungs of air, breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 7 seconds. Exhale out of your mouth for 8 seconds. And repeat at least 4 times. So let's try this together. You ready, Staci? You ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go get it. Okay. So once again, I'm going to explain that the traditional way of doing 4-7-8 breathing is to empty the lungs of air, breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 7 seconds. Exhale out of your mouth for 8 seconds. Okay, we'll try it one more time. 4-7-8, remember that. So first, we're going to empty the lungs of air one more time. And then I want you to breathe in your nose for 4 seconds. I want you to hold your breath for 7 seconds. And then I want you to exhale out of your mouth for 8. Okay. And then we're going to try it one more time.
Do it one more time because I feel like I want you all to give yourself some grace. We have been breathing improperly for a very, very long time. So you're not going to necessarily get it the first time. This does take practice, but this is a safe space. So go try it one more time.
Again, empty the lungs of air. Breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. While doing this, hold your breath for 7 seconds. Then I want you to exhale out of your mouth for 8 seconds.
Now I think that, again, practice and giving yourself some grace, but it might help if you did it in a quiet, darker room. You're welcome to add incense or candles if that's a thing. Maybe starting this process with some warm herbal tea. Find your method to what's the safe space for you to practice breathing techniques. It's not a one size fits all type of self-care practice. So, you can put your own spin on it, and just trying to do this once a day, maybe when you first wake up to get your day started, or at the end of the day after you've worn those many hats and you've taken off those many layers, and you're just trying to give yourself some space to release. We thank you for taking this journey with us. We hope that you come back and visit us for our next healing segment. And Nicole, do you have anything to send us off?
Well, I just wanted to echo what you said. Even doing this, I had noise in the back. Yet, one of the things you can do is you can do this in the shower, in the bathtub. This is really meant for us to be able to practice it any time of the day, as Staci mentioned, and to be kind to yourself that you're going to have to repeat this practice. Yet, if you can have an affirmation or a crystal or anything that you can really have on your person to help you remind yourself to just breathe, that would be amazing.
So thank you all for taking this journey with us and sharing this space. And we hope that you have an amazing day.
Thank you.
Sometimes toxic means a dramatic person, someone who's inconsistent. And we have to understand we're in a different generation. It's between Generation Xers and millennials, between all five of us. But the way that our parents raised us and their parents raised them may be considered toxic to us, because the things that you're defining is rooted, of course, in white supremacy culture, because we had to survive. For example, when we all mentioned that you don't want your son, you don't want anyone else to tell their son not to show emotion, but think about it. Black men were raised not to show emotion, for example, because of what they're going to experience in life when they grow up, just being a Black man. You can't really show emotion on the workplace. When you're out here in the streets, if you get pulled over by a cop, you have to just pretty much be just hardcore. But then also for women, we were raised to, Black women specifically, we were raised to take on these characteristics because we took on a lot of the things that the Black man had to do, because they were not in the home for whatever reason, due to drugs, due to just being an absentee father, because of death, or because of how they did us back in the day because of the welfare system.
Here we go.
Or just simply not just wanting to be there, So Black women had no choice but to take on these characteristics and lose our femininity, where we're, like you said, we may be harder on our daughters, but or maybe harder on our sons, or ease up on our sons, or vice versa. And I think we need to redefine what does toxic look like, because we're still actually living in the same type of dynamics that our parents and grandparents are living in, but we're trying to do a lot of that behavior. So we have to get to the root cause. We're not psychiatrists, but we have to have these conversations as to the root cause of why have to keep coming up, or what does these characteristics look like. So.
I like how you actually brought another perspective, because I didn't think about it generationally per se. Of course, I'm a firm believer that it's rooted in systemic and institutionalized racism and white supremacy, but really just thinking it's unfortunate because we don't have enough accessible knowledge to know prior to colonization and us being brought over here, what did healthy conversation or relationships look like?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what was normal or what was deemed normal prior to colonization and enslavement of Black people in America.
Yeah, that really resonates, because it's like raising 2 kids as a single mom, and you don't want them. You, of course, you want to break this generational curse. You don't want, of course, your daughter to do the same behavior, but I let her know that you're going to experience a lot, because clearly racism is still here. So you got to toughen up, right? And that may be a toxic characteristic, but am I not preparing her for what she's going to experience? Like it goes back to that internalizing the whole angry part of us, that rage that we can't let out until we're in our private spaces where we're safe, right? I had to teach her that the way to navigate these systems and survive, that you can't show them how you really feel. And that you have to be strategic, and you can't be angry because they're going to attack you. So I don't know if that's considered toxic, or is that really trying to survive? You know, because we know, for example, I give you an example. I remember Dawson was 5 years old, and he was in kindergarten, and Dawson used to cry a lot. And we were like, why do we cry all the time? Like, Dawson cries a lot, and he's very in touch with his emotional side. But the teacher said that he whines a lot. White woman, yes, white woman. She told us that maybe he should be held back because he's emotional. And I'm like, what does that really mean? He's 5. But what dawned on me at that moment, these white women are going to use that emotional, whatever, however they defined it, against my kid, right? When he get older. And so me being the protective mother, like, I have to toughen them up, not giving them a whooping or anything like that. Like, hey, stop crying. What are you crying for? And things like that. So like I said, I don't know if that's really toxic, or is that a survival tactic?
It is like survival from toxicity. Like we are the descendants of survivors of a toxic situation. So naturally we are going to carry toxic coping mechanisms, right? Like, I really feel like toxic masculinity in the Black community is rooted as an outcome of slavery, an outcome of Jim Crow, an outcome of intentional redlining. Like, I really feel like, and what you said is so true, Marnese, because we do have to hide our emotions. Because, and just an example you said just made me think of my nephew. And it's like, because Black men, Black boys having emotion, I feel like to some white women is a threat.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's a threat is because it humanizes them in a way that they have to look at them differently. And like, I don't know, this comes like my parents owned a daycare center for 13 years in the hood in Kansas City, and all of the kids, we took care of Black and brown kids, okay? But we always had white social workers. We always had them coming in and us having to debate them down. Like, no, this child should not be held back or pulled out of it because he's crying all the time. He's unpacking what it means to be called, I don't want to say a hindrance, but it's like, I have to assist this Black child with their emotional baggage. Like, I'm not trained for that.
I didn't go to Harvard for this.
No shade, but when we were talking about we're not psychologists or psychiatrists, after working in the mental health field for a very long time, they don't know what to do with us either.
I believe you're right.
Say that again. They don't know what to do with us.
All shade.
And you know what?
Step back.
And you know what else is the thing is too? We have to normalize therapy. And you know, it's in no disrespect, like, there's nothing wrong with talking to your friends and having a sounding board. But if all of y'all is crazy, what are you really getting accomplished? This is crazy people exchanging ideas. Sometimes you have to have somebody that's not biased, that doesn't know you, for you to be able to go to them and say, this is what is bothering me. This is what I can't unpack this. I need help. Because your girlfriends or your guy friends or your mom or dad, depending on where they're at, they may not give you the best advice. You know what I'm saying? And I think we need to normalize therapy. It's like, there's nothing wrong if if you're a person that, that's faith-based, there's nothing wrong with praying, not saying that, but therapists here for a reason. Got to utilize it. And there's a lot of services out there if you look for them. And people shouldn't shame people for getting help. People shouldn't shame people if they have to get on medication. There is nothing wrong. Like, I'd rather you go and take medication or whatever it is that's bothering you to help you heal than for you to just pray about it or just talk to some friends and it just festers and gets worse. And I think that's, somebody said, we haven't healed. We've been here since 1619 and we still haven't unpacked that. So it's like we have to get help from that. And it's like that, this what we're doing. I think it's better. I think we're getting better about talking about the Black community and mental health, but it needs to be more widespread than it is now. Cause I admit I go to therapy.
I go to therapy.
I go to therapy every 2 weeks.
But can you name 3 Black men that go to therapy? Can you name 3 Black men that go to therapy?
I can. Yes, I can. And I can say
cool.
3. I can say 5 years ago, I couldn't name 3 Black men that went to therapy. So yes, we need to normalize therapy within our community. But 2 things. We need to change the narrative that we're not crazy. I hate using that word. We're not crazy.
I apologize.
Not so much you, but in general, like especially white people or people not of color will deem us as crazy for our reactive behaviors or patterns, when really it is post-traumatic stress disorder. And you can take that all the way back from us being enslaved. So we need to normalize therapy, change the narrative of the word crazy and how it's used within our community. But lastly, we need to talk to people who look like us and have our lived experience. I'm not talking to Karen about shit that I've been through.
There we go.
Plain period. That's not gonna happen.
And we have to not look at white supremacy, which makes everything individualistic, meaning that our collective trauma is just not in our heads. We literally turn on the TV and we see it. And so, with that being said, you can actually go to somebody and they harm you even more. And so it has to me be a way where mental health is, you have access to someone that looks like you. And then in your community, if that person is really about cultural competence, they'll do some secondary counseling and some tactics with your people who you deem are appropriate. Because when you're done and you leave that therapist office, how you go home and how you show up with your friends, it makes a difference. But white social workers and therapists don't think like that. But if you have a Black one or a BIPOC one, they will know that your community matters, and it literally takes a village. So I agree with you all. It needs to be destigmatization, and it also needs to be where it's a knowledge of collective trauma, and that it's not just internal, it's external.
Raise your hand. So men out there, don't ask us to smile. Don't grab us. And please don't put your hand in the car and try to open the car door for us to give you a hug. Thank you very much.
I'll add one more to that. When you see especially a single Black woman with her children, do not approach. But one thing you should not do is walk up on a woman when she has her children with her. That's just something that's a no-go for me, and that's toxic. It's too much shit happening out here in the world. And that woman is not only responsible for those kids, but also herself. And we're already carrying a lot. So that's me plus having other many bodies that I'm responsible for. Think about your mother before you approach a woman like that, especially if you were raised by a single Black mother. Imagine the fear of your mother having to try to protect you because she don't know if you coming to rob her or kidnap one of the kids. Like, it's too much going out there. Too much going on out there. So that's my piece as a word of advice to men.
That's real. I want to can I give 2 shout outs real quick? One to call to men, and hopefully we'll drop it in the chat. Tony Porter and a lot of people that talk about toxic masculinity and how to do it across America. let me say this, like, this is some straight people bullshit. Like, let me just say that, because in the LGBTQIA community, as a queer person, I do identify as bisexual, but yet sometimes I go as queer. I mean, I'm fluid, i.e. the free spirit. Yet in our relationships, we're really trying to unpack like gender fluidity. It a lot of times we're even trying to figure out, are we being discriminated against because we Black, we LGBT, like what's going on? So when I hear about toxic masculinity, I immediately think of straight. And I think of how straight people can learn from us and how we have our pronouns, like how we identify, how we move free through the world, because sometimes we don't have to worry about those things, quote unquote. But then when I hear about toxic masculinity, I think of Black trans women who are killed in the middle of the day. And then I think about the issues of gay Black men who have to experience discrimination walking to and from and through the community. So when I think of toxic masculinity, and I know there's toxic femininity, I think of not only violence, but I think of like sadness, because how can you go against white supremacy, but then you don't want equality for people like me? So when I hear about that, I think about how we have to fight discrimination as women, and as women like me who sit in both the intersections and the margins, and how it's so dangerous. And until men can start holding each other accountable, then we'll still have these problems, and it'll affect our relationships and our children. That's so
I
good.
will say, for Black women who are watching this segment, there is a website called therapyforblackgirls.com. And I want to shout them out, because one thing we often sometimes say is, you need to go find a therapist. That shit is hard. Like, that shit is hard to find one. It's like finding a nice pair of jeans. They all don't fit right just because Fashion Nova say they do. Okay. So therapyforblackgirls.com, you can really research who fits your style. A lot of them offer free 30-minute consultations for you to try them out to see if you like them. And a lot of them accept Medicaid and shitty PPOs and HMOs that most of us have with our employer. Mm-hmm. So want to shout them out. Go find you a therapist and unpack some of that shit.
And you can look on Psychology Today too, because you can go by gender and you can also go by race, and you can find African-American therapists that way as well, because that's how I found mine.
And for the men who are watching, who are like, I still don't even understand what toxic masculinity is. Some basic things are being extra controlling others, right? Like acting aggressively, trying to always appear tough. Like you stub your toe and everybody in the house saw you stub your toe, but you're going to hold it in. You're going to retain all of it. And that's like a super, not a dangerous one, but it's an example of how it can also be subtle, right? How some men won't even cry out or scream, right? Like they hold it in that much. Treating sex as like an obligation, right? Like you deserve it because you are worthy. Okay, that's not how it works. Using power over women or what you deem as weaker men in marginalized groups, but being like very explicit about it, right? Like you'll see some men who'll call out, yeah, that's a ugly girl over there, or that's a duck, or that's all toxic and harmful behavior. Are there any other tactics, y'all, that I miss?
Is when you see it in yourself, because you see it, you feel it. So it's shifting energy. You hold yourself accountable and you apologize to the person with sincerity, with an actual solution of how you're going to rectify or move forward with it, with the issue. Angry Black Women Show is a space to validate why Black women are angry, Take the pledge with us and demand what you want. I am angry, I am Black, and I demand intentionality.
I am angry, I am Black, and I demand reparations.
I am angry, I am Black, and I demand respect. RESPECT.
I am angry, I am Black, and I demand better Black love stories.
I'm angry, I am Black, and I demand justice.
Detroit Slut Walk was founded on the hurtful occasion where a Toronto Police Services representative announced that women could reduce their risk of sexual assault by not dressing like sluts. Thought it was time women took a stand from sweats and sneakers to hookers and high heels. Which means no always means no. So support Slut Detroit on all social media outlets in their upcoming marches and events. Body Queen athletic wear for the women who wears many crowns, encouraging women to love their bodies. You can find Body Queen athletic wear at www.bodyqueenathletics.com. From business to play, healthcare worker starts her own healthcare brand. Whether you are looking for the hottest scrubs brands, custom-made scrubs, or gently used scrubs, we have the variety to supply everyone's need. Please support our scrub boutique at scrubsboutiques.com. Up on the Angry Black Women Show. On March the 28th, we will talk about the ratchet women of history in music, media, and in music. Thanks so much for watching us tonight on our February segment, and we look forward to seeing you in March. Please don't forget to be safe and be angry because it's valid. Good night.